Durant.
This series?
This series or any other series. Kevin Durant made them unbeatable. They are not going to beat
Difference between unbeatable and can't win a series.
They're not going to beat the Rockets.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay.
I'm not gonna interrupt.
They're not going to beat the Rockets without KD. And they're not going to beat Portland or Denver without KD.
We way
I'm
ahead
saying,
of it.
that's how important he is.
Well, that was the last time we were with you on Wednesday night. And what did you think when you watched what went down in Houston in Game 6? As without KD, Golden State knocked them out.
I never said this about teams. I thought that was one of the worst choke jobs I've ever seen an NBA team have.
Really?
For the Rockets.
For the Rockets?
You want to give some credit to Golden State?
No, Golden State, I gave them credit. They won the series. But for them to lose a home game. Now, if they had lost Game 7 in Golden State, that to me would be totally different. But to have Golden State shorthanded, come down to Houston, lose, I think that was just a choke job, plain and simple. Shout out to for Steph Curry not to score the first half. I was watching that game. I said, I think the Warriors gonna win this game. But listen, give the Warriors all the credit. They played a good game. Go ahead, Shaq.
I knew Steph was going to have a good game because he didn't have to defer. Like, when you have to defer, Kenny knows.
But you didn't see him scoring nothing in the first half.
Well, he only didn't score because, he was in foul trouble. And Kenny knows that for shooters, it's all about rhythm. If you're in foul trouble, you can't get a rhythm, you can't score any points. But, being that he doesn't have to defer and he can do all that and get to his shot, he got into a nice little rhythm.
Yeah, 33 in the second half, 23 in the fourth quarter.
I thought, Houston should have did a better job of at least trying to get the ball out of his hand.
Yeah, I said it, and Klay Thompson was phenomenal as well.
Yes.
But when I think of choke, Charles, I think of there's something that you're doing and you were scared to do. When I didn't look at Houston as, well, that's something they were scared to do. James Harden didn't really want to take shots, or CP3 didn't want to take shots. So to me, it doesn't feel like choke. It feels more like a system that can't get by the system of Golden State.
Kenny, they were up 3-2 last year with Kevin Durant.
Yes, they were.
They were up 3-2, so don't give me that bogusness.
I don't think that the system is working.
But I'm saying they were up 3-2 last year. We weren't saying the system wouldn't work.
Yep.
No, I was.
For them,
I was like, it's going to be tough to win the way. I think everyone says
they were up
it's tough
3-2.
to win.
But hold on,
that way.
That's not the point I want to make, though. They were up 3-2 last year. Nobody was saying their system wasn't going to work. For them to have a home game without Kevin Durant and lose, that can't happen.
Okay, but what makes it? Okay. You want to give Golden State credit. Got to give Steph.
You got to give.
But what makes it? I gave the definition of what a choke is to me. What makes it?
There's a game you have to win. Mm-hmm. Like I say, if they had lost Game 7 at Golden State, I'm like, hey, the Warriors, awesome. But for the Warriors to come down there shorthanded, and the Rockets been on this mission, we're going for the Golden State Warriors. You cannot let them come to your house and beat you. Okay. Plain and simple.
Golden State advances in 6 over Houston. Now, who would they get? Denver or Portland? They had to play Game 7 in Denver, and Dame Lillard would not have a good shooting day, but somehow Portland would win the game. Jokic for 3 early. And then Gary Harris.
Mark Jackson and Jeff Van Gundy did a fantastic job today. Because I watched this whole game. They lost this game in the second quarter where Portland couldn't get anything going, and Denver just came down and fouled them every time. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, they put him in the bonus.
With like 8 minutes to go. Yeah, so that's when they got in the rhythm. The second quarter, Denver blew this game.
Yeah, they had a chance to really stretch the lead.
They did, but they just gave them 3 baskets.
Yeah,
let them get in rhythm.
They were up by 17 in the first half, but the halftime lead was only 48-39. So Portland scores 39 in the first half. They score 32 in the third quarter.
And that man right there put on a show.
It was the
McCollum at 37.
Most beautiful display of how to run a pick and roll I've ever seen in the last 10 years.
And as Cantor cans this jumper.
Also, give a shout out to Evan Turner, who was fantastic today, and Miles Leonard played well too, and that kid Collins was fantastic also.
Rodney Hood was playing well till he got hurt. And they came out. They was playing big.
Hyperextended knee.
Yeah, Zach Collins was fantastic.
Would not return.
Murray now back in the picture.
Jamal Murray.
Right there.
Now it's a 70-65 game, but
Miles Leonard played
Myers
great
Leonard
defense
right there.
on Jokic. He was
Give me
McCollum.
Give me this money.
Man.
That money. Wrong foot.
71-70 Blazers. Damian Lillard, 13 points on 3 of 17 shooting, 2 for 9 from the promised land.
Oh, good move.
Oh, my goodness. This was a big play right here. Get off me, little fella.
83-81.
No, get off me, little fella.
McCollum getting anything he wanted.
Get off me.
And then all that great offense, and then this from C.J.
This was
McCollum.
This was a player.
Give me that.
Go get that. Dunk that.
It was 87-83 at the time. And now it's a 4-point game and a lazy pass by Jokic, and it winds up in Lillard's hands for 3.
Timely shots, kid.
Well, give Dame Lillard credit for not quitting. He hung in there. He had 10 rebounds and 8 assists. Sometimes you score and you help your team any way you can.
It got to the point there was no doubt. Anytime CJ went up, it was going down. And here is Jokic with the floater, and they're still in it.
But you know what? Hey, you guys sit back and relax. I'm going to get this ball to CJ, and we're going to the Western Conference Finals.
96-95, and now 98-95.
That was it right there.
Jokic went to the line in a 3-point game. Way short on the first. He would hit the second. It's a 2-point game. And then it was 100-96, and this has to go in to even give you any thought of winning the game, and it's off. And the Portland Trail Blazers go into Denver and win Game 7. 100-96. Thing about Denver, talked about how good they've been in close games. Games decided by 4 points or less. They were 19-4, including the playoffs. And by 4, they lose Game 7. They were also 55-1 when they led after 3. That second loss ends their season. We'll be back.
Take a look at Joel Embiid in Game 6, where there was no injury, there was no illness. He was ready to go, and he came out and played much more aggressive and helped the Sixers even up the series to force today's Game 7. Earlier today, he sat down with Raz Golden-Woody.
We've become so close since he got here. You know, we talk all the time, and, you know, that's my guy. And, you know, I hope, you know, after this year we get to get him for another couple years. We understand each other. I think it's just the fact that we want to win so bad. And when it's like that, it's easy. Like when you know that someone is gonna have your back on nights when you're not feeling good, you know, he comes up to me, take us there. Same thing I do to him. If I'm not feeling good, I'm like, you gotta carry us. Like that's the partnership we have, and we fine. I mean, he's fine taking less shots. I'm fine taking less shots. Like as long as we win, that's all that matters.
All right, let's talk more about this series with the woman who was just talking with Joel Embiid. It is Raz Golden-Woody, who's working tonight's Game 7 with Kevin Harlan and Greg Anthony on TNT. Raz, appreciate you taking some time for us here. And that sit-down that you just had with Joel. Let's talk here about the pressure on him and his feelings here heading into Game 7.
But I think Joel Embiid is fully shouldering and accepting and excited about the responsibility that's on him. You know, this is his first ever Game 7. I was at Game 6 in Philly, and I interviewed him on the court for NBA TV. And the first thing out of his mouth is, "I can't wait. This is my first Game 7. I've already asked JJ Redick about Game 7s." You know, and I think throughout this entire playoff series, we have seen the maturation, the growing pains of Joel Embiid. Whether that was him having the knee injury that he was dealing with, or then the upset stomach, or then the upper respiratory. Remember, this is a guy who, hasn't even been playing that long because of injuries. He's young. He's 25. And at first, I remember him always being willing to talk about all his different ailments. Heading into Game 6 and certainly into Game 7, he doesn't even want to talk about it anymore. He doesn't want to say, I got this thing knocking me up or banging me up, I'm feeling sick. I think we see a young man realizing that he doesn't want to share this type of weakness or vulnerability anymore. And he did hear and feel the flack he got for that. So I think there's a maturation there. And then here's his big boy moment, his first Game 7. He's always talking about the process. I am the process. Trust the process. We are the process. Imagine getting the process, all those injuries he's had to overcome, all those years of losing to get them to the Eastern Conference Finals. And I think he's entering it with the right mindset. There's a seriousness about him. He's literally told me, I said, what do you think your responsibility is? He says, I think I have to do everything. Defensively, offensively, and I don't think he meant that in a selfish or weird way. I think he meant it to say, if I bring it, I know my teammates are going to follow. And, while there's a seriousness, we have to understand who Joel Embiid is. Like, he's not the guy who, gets off on roaring in your face or being angry. He's a joyful player. The way we see Stephen Curry on the court and he expresses himself through joy. Some might see Joel and he's doing little ear gestures or flying around the court and say it's silly, but Joel understands, and people who know Joel, his teammates understand, he's at his best when he's focused but playing with a smile. And I asked him, he kept saying, I've got to bring my A game and I've got to bring my smile. He kept including that and talking with him in this conversation. So I think Joel has the right mindset. I think he knows his importance to this team, and he's ready to let the momentum start with him.
Roz, the Philadelphia Inquirer today calling this game the most important game in the quote-unquote process era of the Sixers. With that is pressure on Brett Brown. A lot of Philly media over the last couple of weeks have been talking about what happens if the Sixers don't go further this year than they did last year. How much pressure is on Brett Brown to keep his job, quite frankly, by winning this game?
All Game 7s come with pressure, and certainly the rumor mill has been talking about Brett Brown's job security. I personally don't know and can't say what's going to happen. My personal, feeling is, Brett Brown has been through a lot, man. They had him there for all those years of losing, and he, strategic losing, if you will, and then, finally gets the team back to playoffs. He's got a bunch of young superstars who are learning literally day by day. And then this season, he's had his roster changed on him twice, and then, even throughout the playoffs, he's had his crown jewel, Joel Embiid, go through so many injuries and sickness, literally a phone call at 6 a.m. before a game. I don't know if I'm going to get to go. I think he's had a lot that he can't control thrown in his direction, so it's tough. I think this game comes with pressure, and Brett Brown has talked about that pressure at practice, actually yesterday. And he was saying, the good news is, while some of his superstars haven't been in Game 7s, whether that's Ben Simmons or Joel Embiid, he said, I have. He's been in Game 7s. He's coached in Game 7s for the NBA championship, for the Western Conference championship, for the Western Conference semifinal. And he's said, the pressure, it's there. And he said, it tells me is possession by possession mentality is heightened. So what he's been doing in preparation for tonight's Game 7, where their season is on the line, where some are even saying, perhaps his seat as the coach for this team is on the line. Who knows? But preparing for this moment and the best way to prepare his team to be successful, he's been going back and watching the fourth periods of Game 7s. He's been doing that. And he said about watching the fourth periods of Game 7s to prepare his mind, he said what he's found from it is everything is zoomed in. His words, he said, it's raw. It comes down to defense, urgency that incrementally increases as the clock winds down. And so for his players, he said coming into the game, he doesn't want to change any of their routine, wants to keep them relaxed, normal stuff. But for him, he has been watching the little moments in the fourth quarter of Game 7 that can help separate his team for a victory.
Roz, on the Raptors side, I know you got a chance to talk to Kawhi about the different type of defenses they played on him. They played him single coverage. They played Jimmy. They played pretty much everybody. And Embiid, obviously, the blocking shots at in the back line and the double teaming. What was his mindset and what he had to say about the defense against him?
Hey, Smitty.
Hey, Roz.
Hey, so yeah, I spoke with Kawhi. I actually got some one-on-one time with Kawhi, which, it's not always easy, and he doesn't say a lot, right? But I thought he said something really profound because everybody's been talking about the different one-on-one looks on him. I even spoke to Jimmy about defending Kawhi. Jimmy's like, I'm bringing competitive spirit. He said occasionally I try to gamble too much. I'm a gambler. If I think I can get it, I'm going to go for it. Even if Brett Brown gets angry, that's who I am, And then Ben Simmons, brings length, maybe even, some speed on him, brings size. So I was with Kawhi, and I said, can you tell the difference between the different defenders on you? Because literally this guy's been kind of doing whatever he wants. And he said it took him a while, honestly. I said, can you tell the difference between the defenders? And he really had to think about it, and he was like, I guess Ben's longer. And then as I thought we were done, I thought that was all he had to say. But he went on after that to say, it's not really about the one-on-one defense, though. Nobody in this league is defending a superstar one-on-one. It's what their team's doing. He pointed out there's backside help. They've got Embiid waiting. So what he's trying to do, Smitty, is draw people, he said, and then try to find his teammates' shots. And, he said he can feel and see the defense. He's not in such an unconscious zone that he's unaware of them. And he knows that a lot of the shots he's hit in this series have been contested shots, good defense. But he said, I'm actually trying to limit the contested shots that I take, but I practice those every single day. Nothing about him knocking a shot down, whether it was in Philly to steal one over there or, over the great defense of Jimmy Butler or Ben Simmons. He said, nothing about that is surprising me. I'm working for those moments. And then, remember, I sat down with Joel and I was asking him, like, hey, if this game is close, Game 7, ball in Kawhi's hands, game on the line, what are you thinking? And Joel said, I think we got to get the ball out of his hands. In his exact words, we've been going crazy this series. I'd rather have someone else on the team beat us. No disrespect to his teammates. They're great players. But he's been getting whatever he wants this whole series. And if it takes double-teaming him to get the ball out of his hands, I think that's what we got to do.
Roz Goldon-Woody, she'll be on the sidelines tonight, TNT, 7 o'clock Eastern. Appreciate you joining us. We come back and we get into Blazers Nuggets. We hear from the head coach of Portland, Terry Stotts, next on Game Time Live.